Hello and welcome to another episode of the Federal Church Presents Better Than Bloomberg. Continuing our coverage of the global financial system collapse 2023, the worst ever. As the Federal Reserve goes all in on making you poor. At least the 99.99%. And there was a pretty good note here from Zero Hedge, describing the third worldization of America. SoCal Sweatshop workers make as little as $1.58 per hour. And again, this is what happens when you allow the third world into your country. You become the third world. And to them, that's probably a fucking fortune. But the even funnier part is that the rickshaw drivers, as I call them, these people make more than those Lyft and Uber drivers. Because those people haven't figured out the concept of depreciation yet. So a survey of garment sewing contractors in Southern California reveals that the sweatshop workers are paid as little as $1.58 per hour. And again, when America has been having its standard of living inflated by people loaning it money and producing all its items for it, except for these shitty garments apparently, that goes away once the money printing and the toiletries, are no longer the reserve currency of the world or the risk-free asset. And trillions of dollars will flood back into the U.S. There'll be massive inflation as the banking system collapses and millions of people will be out of work. And that's the only jobs they'll get, by the way, because most of these people do not have any specialization or specialized knowledge or technical ability or educations, for example, that have them compete in the rest of the world. Just like you see in this article there, where they're getting the same wage as people in Bangladesh. And I think the cost of living in Bangladesh is more lower too, by the way. But that's what happens when your human capital isn't much a capital. Just like the toiletries and those banks that are now failing because it's not worth anything. So, and these people, and these are the kinds of people that I talk about too, who think that they're so great. They're entitled to a first world standard of living, even though they have no real education and cannot compete in the world marketplace whatsoever. Oh, I think they're equal to geniuses too, by the way. And they think that, I should just have a first world standard of living because there should just exist some job that some evil rich person made, and that, where they're screwing me over, so I should have first world standard of living just for showing up. And again, that's their mentality. And now as their basically third world banana republic, goes to, they go to equality with the rest of the world, right? That's what they wanted. So now they're equally fucking poor. Those are their equals. I mean, you have no capability of doing anything else, that matters. So that's how much you get paid. Yeah, like I said, most of these people will be sweatshop workers, in the coming years. This place will be poorer than Mexico within the next few short years, probably less than 5. And then the rest of it, in the coming decades, most of them will become sweatshop workers. A survey conducted by the U.S. Department of Labor found that workers making garments sold by some of the world's largest fashion retailers, victims of wage theft and other illegal pay practices, Fashion United. But you also have to remember, these people voluntarily work for this amount of pay. It's because they flooded the market, the labor market. It's not human capital. It's low wage, menial task. No talent, expertise, whatever you want to call it, workers. And they just have to perform a menial task like that. And they're willing to do it for that amount of money. And when you flood your country with that, well, guess what? It drives down your wages. So the funniest part to me is always with these idiots who like to cry all their little Bolshevik garbage too about how they're equal and whatever. Well, now you're equal. You're equally impoverished. You wanted your immigration. There you go. Don't whine about the wages. You did it to yourself. So contractors and manufacturers included in the survey include, it's like in my case. They don't want to pay the money. Screw off. This is the whole concept of a free market too, by the way. Where it's these people freely work for these wages. Nobody held a gun to their head and said, hey, you have to make these garbage garments for Neiman Marcus here. So, and then there's the same group of retards too that think that they're going to spy on me, broadcast me, cause me problems, have their garbage around me, thinking they're going to influence what I do instead of paying me, and that somehow the genius will just beg to serve them and tell them instead of telling them to go screw off and drop dead. And that again is their Bolshevik idiocy, and it's laughable that it gets what all the Bolsheviks get too, by the way. And you can still see some of these little these shit little Bolshevik what would you call it, influence countries, like the places like the Viet Cong, and China is actually less communist than America now, so you see the things changing there. But when they were little Bolshevik little shits, well, guess what? What did they have? Exactly that. And now it's less communist than America, and you see it doing business with the entire world. And guess what? You can take a look at their airports versus the shit dumps here, which also function as homeless shelters for their millions upon millions of homeless, because it's a third world shit failed Bolshevik dump. Contractor. Oh, and again, those are the same morons that still think, by the way, their stupid little retarded farce will get geniuses to make them richer. There it is. Now, there's exactly what I was saying in a previous video. Contractors and manufacturers included in the survey include Bombshell Sportswear, Dillard's. Again, these are expensive outlets too. Lulu's. I don't know what Lulu's is. I assume that's actually maybe not big. No, Neiman Marcus is an expensive one. Nordstrom is an expensive one. It's failing now too, by the way. Socialite, Stitch Fix, Von Maur is another expensive one. There are more than 45,000, I assume they're shitholders too, right? Workers in the Los Angeles area garment manufacturing industry. And then they live there in their little ghettos too. And then, you wonder why your country looks like the third world. There's your equality. Now you get to live like them too. So, with many working an average of 55 hours per week with no overtime pay, according to the report. Based on the data from more than 50 contractors and manufacturers, 2022 Southern California Garment Survey released by the department's Wage and Hour Division found violations of the Fair Labor Standards Act in 80% of its investigation. More than 50% of the time, the division found employers illegally paying workers part or all their wages off the books, with payroll records either deliberately forged or not provided. Oh, and don't forget the beautiful part of this third world shitholer invasion too, by the way. So not only are they paid, under the table in cash, they still collect welfare. This is how this stuff happens. That's also why they're willing to work for $1.58. Because the people who actually do pay taxes, people like me that got their work stolen from them by the dirty little scumbag Bolsheviks and told everybody to broadcast me for free too, while little scumbags enrich themselves. These idiots will be on all sorts of welfare. Everything from housing, healthcare, food, WIC, what else is there? And again, that's how they get through that stuff. And why do they even come here to begin with? Because they get some welfare, even though they're not citizens. And no, they don't pay taxes, do they? But they do have their little ghettos, and you get to have some diversity in a nice little restaurant where you can eat some of their food. Or again, probably don't pay taxes either. The survey also found that 32% of contractors are paying workers piece rate wages, which has been prohibited by the state of California since last year. Despite our efforts to hold Southern California's garment industry employers accountable, we continue to see people who make clothes sold by some of the nation's leading retailers working in sweatshops. Said Wage and Hour Regional Admin Ruben Rosales in San Francisco. Yeah. Amazing. You know, the best part is they bring the best parts of their country with them. They couldn't maintain their own society, but they're going to tell you how to run yours. Oh, and then the even better part too. Oh, actually, that's not an exaggeration. When they let in the third world, they're not letting in the rocket surgeons. They're letting in the dumbest, the poorest, the most undesirable, and putting them on welfare so that they get to vote for certain people. Oh, while geniuses supposedly are supposed to make them richer. Oh, and apparently that me laughing at that thought itself. Oh, look, here's more of their geniuses too. Here's a Nobel Prize winner. But me laughing at that thought will make me a mentally ill person. This is the third world dumpization of America. Oh, which, by the way, why they can't find work too. Except for the fact they have no education and then think they're entitled to spy on geniuses. Oh, and they can't figure out why people won't live around this stuff. While their Hollywood celebrities live in, was it exclusive, gated, whatever the hell, with 20-foot high fences, or 20-foot high walls you can't even see through, like a fence. Because they care so much about them. And then according to investigators, one contractor was paying workers as little as $1.58 per hour. Which is not surprising because most of these bums don't even desire to work. Fucking idiots. About what Bangladeshi workers make. And again, they think they're the greatest shit on earth. They think that they're great just by the sole fact that they were born somewhere geographically, even though they have no education, no real value in the world. And there's the reality of it. Which last month saw unions demand an increase in the minimum wage from US $75 per month to $215 amid crippling inflation. Which again, you see why the places turn into things like Zimbabwe. But the U.S. Department of Labor says it found that sewing fees paid by manufacturers to contractors were on average not enough for the contractors to properly pay their workers required minimum wages. Specifically, the studies determined the average sewing fee was $2.75 below the amount needed per garment. For sewing contractors to comply with federal wage standards, contractors who paid employees in compliance with the law received a higher sewing fee, ranging from $17.50 to $35 per garment. And don't forget, these are the dresses that they sell for like $300 at those shops. The findings of the Southern California Garment Survey highlight why greater outreach. Oh, and I don't know if the microphone picked that up too. That again is their shit retard mentality. And they can't figure out why geniuses tell them to go screw off and drop dead. You know, the ones that won't live around their fucking garbage, by the way. They just can't figure that one out. Idiot bullshit. And stronger enforcement are needed to combat the inequities that exist in the garment and fashion industry, said Rosales. The Wage and Hour Division will continue to work and meet with advocates and industry stakeholders and remain focused on holding accountable the manufacturers and retailers who reap significant profits, while the people who did the hard work are too often not paid the rightful wages. And again, that's just laughable with their stupid Bolshevik garbage there too. That's how worthless their work is. And don't forget, They're not there on the other end of a fucking gun. They're there voluntarily because that's the only way that they can make money, because they're useless. And they simply think they're the greatest thing on earth just because there were, I guess these people weren't even born in America, but this is the future of most people in America. They just simply think that they're the greatest country on earth by virtue of being born somewhere, and then think that they're entitled to a first world standard of living, which was only created by borrowing money from the entire rest of the world, which is no longer happening, as you see, with those now illiquid, risk-free supposedly treasuries that, comprise the entire banking system. Well, not the entire bank, but the vast majority of the banking system's capital reserves. And their entire banking system is insolvent. So this is exactly what I was saying, where this is their future. And for some reason, they still think they're the greatest country on earth. No, you're a third world shithole banana republic. And don't even get me started on the. I bet you can drive through the garment district too. Actually, let me look that up. Let's look that up. Look at this. Look at these garbage. It is an actual fucking third world shithole. This is the stuff that they have in the, I guess, trying to make it seem nice. And that's even a misnomer. Most of those garments sold in that place is from Asia. Like Bangladesh. You want to consider those, if you want to consider those Asians. There it is. You got the tent slums over there. That is what that place is. It is a third world dump. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, they think LA is somehow some place of amazing, whatever wealth or whatever. No, it's a third world dump with tremendous wealth inequality. And again, the libtards who like to say that they're such wonderful people. They don't live around that. They have huge walls, especially those Hollywood celebrities. They have huge 20-foot walls made of concrete that keep those people out. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Here's their fashion district. There you go.
To believe it, some 12 tons of garbage rotting behind Los Angeles clothing stores. That trash is crawling with some very large rats, and some of them are making their way into those businesses.
Gone for how many decades or hundreds of years, but it resurfaced there.
Fashionable finding.
The city has taken dramatic action in response to the IT investigation you're about to see for the first time. For 8 months, we've been exposing LA's out-of-control problem with trash and rats. Well, we found evidence the problem is even worse than you'd imagine. A massive health hazard the city has known all about, but chose to ignore until we called the mayor.
Here's the Nobel Prize.
The home of Priceless Apparel. And now this empty building on East Pico is the city's biggest trash can. An illegal dumping ground with homeless people living amidst the filth, spilling into the public alley, breeding an army of rats that could carry disease.
This is embarrassing.
He's not talking about Skid Row, but about LA's world-famous fashion district, which attracts buyers from across the U.S., Asia, and South America. And this is what greets them: encampments and endless mounds of uncollected trash. Joe Song owns Glam Apparel, where we saw rats running outside his back door because it faces that gigantic Pico Boulevard garbage pile.
In part of Los Angeles, I cannot believe that we have this, and there's nobody doing anything about it. We are stepping up enforcement.
Just last month, Mayor Eric Garcetti called for an immediate crackdown on illegal dumping. The promise came after the I-Team exposed this other garbage heap on Saris Avenue. that the city allowed to grow and fester for months despite repeated 311 calls from neighbors.
Hello, this is Mayor Eric Garcetti.
And we all have a responsibility to keep our LA clean and safe.
While the mayor got Sarah's Avenue cleaned up, that trash pile pales in comparison to this latest one we found on Pico. This garbage wasteland was born back in February 2018, when fire department records say a homeless encampment ignited flames that gutted the priceless apparel building.
I see a dead rat right there.
Ever since, businesses and the homeless have apparently turned this into a place to illegally dump their trash.
If you see something that was illegally dumped, submit a service request by calling 311.
How many times have you called 311 about this mess?
11 times.
Rena Letty is head of the Fashion District Business Improvement District.
Urine, feces.
Records show she and others have called 311 23 times to clean up this mess.
This gets worse.
The city of LA has issued 25 citations for illegal dumping around downtown this year. The biggest fine in these tickets, $233. That's less than some parking tickets in LA. And it's a fraction of the thousands of dollars many businesses would have to pay to dispose of their trash legally.
Does a $230 ticket really discourage a business from illegally dumping?
No, it doesn't.
She and other business leaders worry the mayor's new plan to spend $6 million more on cleanup efforts will barely make a dent in LA's trash emergency. And it certainly won't come fast enough to clean up these 12 tons of trash in the Fashion District and the rodents swarming around it anytime soon.
These are the orange con idiots.
Pick up trash.
I think I'm going to pay to live there. Pay exorbitant amounts to live there. And then let those idiots steal my IP and enrich themselves while groveling to themselves.
We tracked down Mayor Garcetti in Hawaii today, where he's attending a conference, and we told him all about this huge garbage pile. Within an hour of hanging up the phone with the mayor, city sanitation crews arrived on the scene to start cleaning up. We'll keep you posted on what happens next.
Those rats had the fucking bubonic plague too in LA. This shit they believe.
The homeless crisis in Los Angeles is continuing to spiral out of control, and local politicians are doing little to stop it. They claim one of the primary causes is a lack of affordable housing, but Dr. Drew Pinsky is speaking out and debunking that narrative. Watch.
This isn't a housing problem.
It's not?
No. That's a hoax. That's a hoax being perpetrated by the government here locally.
They
need to stop.
That there isn't a... Because it seems
Of course we have housing expense issues, but we just absorbed 1 million illegal, undocumented immigrants. They found a place to live. It's a hoax. So it's a mental health crisis and addiction crisis. People that had mental illness that shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, frankly, ended up on the streets. And then because we made drugs legal, essentially, in California, all my people are here. The drug users are here now because they don't get hassled.
Dr. Drew also sounding the alarm about LA's growing public health emergency, and he's warning about the possibility of a deadly disease outbreak.
The people go, why are you so concerned now? There's one word, rats. We have been, have you seen what's happened with the rats? We have like 12 million rats in Los Angeles now. And the last time we had more than 2 million, plague broke out.
All right, Greg. Communicable diseases and rats don't care about city limits, and they don't care about whether a Democrat or a Republican is leaving them. So what's going to happen when they start... And oh, by the way, later on he said...
Don't forget, these are the people that think I'm going to make them richer too, after they fuck me out of billions of dollars. Oh, and to try to tell the general public too that I had to be around their garbage, or that their general public garbage had any excuse to be around me, follow me around, spying on me, instead of the people I choose to be around. As you can see here, How's it working out for the Bolsheviks? I suppose they can pretend the bubonic plague away. So yeah, as I was saying, America is a third world shithole. And don't forget how you got there, because they simply thought that they were going to play some stupid little, conspiracy to screw me out of money. Oh, and drug my food too, by the way, kind of like they just did now. You watch me eating. And then tell themselves I was crazy, because I did not make them richer. They were so wonderful. They were such great, important pieces of the world that Mark the genius was so crazy. He did not make them richer and make them movies too. Well, there's the retarded Bolshevism. And again, don't forget why you ended up there. If you didn't donate and you didn't pay your tithe. Right there in the Bitcoin wallet there too. Right there in the description. You can also send it to Cashapp over there.